Hello, everyone.
No
we are live as the unexpected no swoosh Timbo there. You might have just heard us. We are here again for another stream as per usual. And joining me from my left, Mod Ashes.
Hello.
Mod Osborne.
Hello.
And Mod Timbo. So, so we got into, well, we got quite a lot to talk about, first of all, but I kind of want to kick us off with the annual survey, if that's okay.
Yeah, straight in.
So annual survey stuff, you know, it's still going on by.
Glamorous assistant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, both of us on the chairs.
So how are we doing on the annual survey?
Oh yeah, the annual survey, not designer diaries. I don't know why my head went the designer diaries.
I mean, I wrote some questions for the annual survey. But
I did get a little confused. I was like,
yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, Timbo was involved. Yeah, annual survey's going really well. We've got 40,000 respondents, which is good. We emailed some people clicked a link. The response has been largely positive, I think. Like the updates we've shown, I think there've been some nice surprises in there. Some people like highlighting some things I like really as well. You know, Dark Zenaris was always a favourite. Varrock Remastered was a favourite.
I do love how if anyone's not filled out the survey yet, you're kind of egging them on
I'm
to what to click.
influencing.
Yeah, you're kind of like swaying it a little bit here.
Complete manips.
But way you say that.
I can't get away with saying some things. But like, it's different from previous where we've done it, you know, on a cheeky survey monkey, which I think is GDPR inappropriate now. So we've now gone through a different system, which means that I don't get to look at the results as much as I used to because somebody has got the keys to the results. But there have been a few. There have been a few things that we found out. So those will bleed out over the weeks in terms of us giving results. A lot of the questions were, will we actually see the results of this? Yes, you will. Some will come through at RuneFest for particular talks.
And then post-stream.
But yeah, that's it. The survey ends, I think it's end of this month.
Okay.
So it's going to be in like post-RuneFest. We'll do some live streams. We'll show the results. As I said, some will be at RuneFest. So please don't think we're going to hide these.
Probably just dedicate the entire stream to it,
Who
right?
doesn't just love looking at histograms? Just like, pie charts.
Shorty loves it.
Love it. So we're going to do a bit of that. But yeah, that's the positive stuff. Like people are highlighting some things that they really like. There have been some negatives, and that's kind of been corroborated by the design diaries. Things like 120s has come up a fair amount. Which we'll talk about. I don't know if you want to get into design diaries.
I've got a little section.
We talked a little bit last time around about kind of folding questions together or folding updates together. Some people had real issue with, which is understandable, but we have polled those independently before, and really this was about taking the update to its natural extension of what it would look like on release, and just trying to compare updates if we had launched them and what we would have done for each of those launches. But yeah, it's going well. It's going well. Please do answer the survey.
Yep. Okay, you mentioned it's going to the designer diary. It released on Friday, of course. We mentioned last week on stream. It's going to hopefully release the end of the week. Released on the Friday. 30-minute plus of
so chunky.
Timbo.
It's a big old chunker, wasn't it?
It was.
Osborne.
We didn't stop. It was a one take, though.
That was one take.
Yeah, one take. Yeah.
I mean, it would be interesting if we had to double take like 30 plus minutes each time. You know, I don't think that'd be fun.
We'll try it for the next one. See if. What John is up for that.
No, we vetoed it.
You vetoed it? Oh, great.
We had one try.
One try. Yeah, that's what they call us, one take Timbo and
1E Osborne.
But yeah.
So let's jump into it. So quick summary. So for those of you who have not seen it, Designer Diary in essence, what is the Designer Diary?
Yeah,
what are you hoping to accomplish with them?
The format is, and I'm hoping people are noticing it, we want to talk more. We want to be more transparent about the things that we're doing. Very recently we had a change to our teams, the teams that are the makeup of RuneScape, and also the problems that each of those teams are trying to solve. So that's a big change. So we wanted to kind of choose a way of communicating that the moment we can go into depth. And my did we go into depth? So that was like
a lot of
minutes.
depth. Yeah.
So we'll do that we've done that for episodic content, which is one of our teams. That's one dedicated to things like quests, bosses, dungeons, land masses, skills, that kind of thing. The content that you play. And then we will go into detail in the kind of more contentious, going to be harder to make Live Ops 1, which is the team that make our monetization stuff, but also our core game experience team, who are more mysterious, kind of robed and things that are...
I'm here. Ashes here, yeah.
Very mysterious. But in the sense that there's a lot of RuneFest that we're going to be doing, showing the stuff you're making.
Yes. Hopefully.
And that is all going to be new, so we're going to introduce that team as well. And then then we've got mobile after that, which weirdly is actually in the same team.
It's no longer we're no longer mobile. It's core experience as a whole.
Yeah,
now,
core
'cause
experience, which folds in mobile.
Yeah. So
Yes, but we are going to separate those for the two different
which makes
design
sense.
diaries.
Okay, so you guys dived into the video, mentioned the news post, but I wonder if we can kind of touch on it a little bit. So
Yeah, of
you
course.
outline problems in like the little header formats,
Yeah.
as it were. So problem one, there was already too much content in the game, making it quite confusing to pick up.
I don't think anybody was in. I don't think anybody argued against.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah.
The game's been out for 18 years. We've been updating mostly weekly over that entire 18-year period.
Yeah.
19 years? 19-year
I've
period.
come up to 19 years now, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a lot of content in game. Not a lot of it is very good, or very used. Sorry, I should say.
Blimey. Brutal.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Rewind.
But like, there's a lot of content that isn't used by players anymore. There's a very specific meta, there's very specific sets of content that people use all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, we want to try and remaster that content.
Yeah, and that was the big pitch.
What's the definition of a remaster of content?
It's all of the things you loved about that content in a package in a new form with some new content, some new things to chase. So we talked about God Wars 1 a lot in the design diary, I think. And if we remastered God Wars Dungeon 1, it would be the same generals you know and love, like Grador, Kriara, that sort of thing, back. But with new mechanics, new loot, maybe God Swords would be tier 92, that sort of thing. But there would be something new to chase. There would be an elite dungeon, there would be a quest, or there would be skilling content.
We love our elite dungeons. I think players picked up on that in the survey.
Or there would be some skilling content in there. Maybe the new tier 90 God Swords would be used a new metal. That could only be mined from the new God Wars dungeon. But that sort of thing. That's what a remaster looks like with the graphical polish.
All right, so I checked a quick look at the chat. Someone said, but why that when there are other areas are worse? And presumably that's just an example in this case.
Yeah, it's just an example. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah, we
Take that
keep
as
on
gospel.
using combat encounters to explain this because actually I find that the easiest to explain.
Yeah.
Varrock remastered, again, it doesn't have to be Varrock. I know players were saying, well, why don't you do some of the lesser rework, the least reworked areas?
One of my favourite
like
remasters,
Uglog or something. But
my favourite remasters talked about today in the team was a ZMI remaster.
Yeah.
Would be cool. ZMI is an iconic piece of content with the two paths, the fast and the slow path of getting there, random runes, but lots more experience and that sort of thing. So that's a good skilling remaster for me.
Yeah.
Would be remastering ZMI to make it, again, a worthwhile, high experience, random rune variants.
That's it. Some people have highlighted areas or things that they would like remastered that nobody goes to and doesn't really have a core of any kind of quality for me.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have an idea at the centre of it that really makes it valuable. And saying, well, obviously we should rework that because instead I think in our kind of new world order we would probably look to remove those kind of things.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there that is valuable. Let's not try to remaster, I'm going to annoy somebody. Familiarisation. Let's try not to there's no point in remastering that. So in those instances we might well rip out.
Or just leave it alone.
Or leave it alone, yeah.
But yeah, we wouldn't have remastered Mobilising Armies or Rat Pits. No. There wasn't a core idea there.
Or Conquest.
Yeah, or Conquest. There's no core content there that people have really enjoyed. We don't have any desire to remaster that piece of content. It's not iconic. I think one of the things is that we want to remaster iconic pieces of content as well.
Yeah.
So all the things we talked about so far, like ZMI, God Wars Dungeon 1, Varrock, all iconic pieces of content that everyone remembers. And yeah.
Yeah, I know. The reason for doing largely orienting towards the iconic, it won't be all of them, is that it drags people back in. There's people who have a kind of previous love history with RuneScape, they'll want that. And that's something to really value.
Cool. And then into problem 2, which is we're trying to do too many different things at once.
It's a bit more contentious, I think, mainly because it's a message more for us as a development team and players don't feel it as much.
Yeah.
Which is, as a development team, we are producing a lot of things. As like the previous iteration of episodic content, it's producing temporary content. It's doing a lot of new systems and ways of getting engaged with things. It's doing huge quests. We're doing so much, and I feel like that is damaging our ability to serve players who love a specific kind of content. Questers love quests. bosses like bosses, and because we're doing so many things, we're not focusing on those. And actually, those are things that don't add to the the complexity of the game.
So, but with that in mind,
Yeah.
both of you outlined in essence, there's going to be these content types that we focus on in the short term.
In the short term, yep.
So, in addition to that, you mentioned obviously bosses, encounters, drops,
Yep.
asynchronous minigames.
Yep.
So, in essence, ports and stuff like that, correct?
Yep.
And quests.
On that note, I know a lot of people were really worried about just player-owned. We're going player-owned crazy,
Yeah.
asynchronous crazy. I think a lot of this is going to be plugged into stuff we've already got. I think proportionally out of all of these categories, I think I agree with that. They will be the least updated. So please don't feel like this will be the most.
And likely to incorporate things like a remastered miscellanea.
Yeah. That keeps on getting mentioned, which I think is going to happen now.
Yeah.
Keep talking about it.
Which combines a lot of our things. It would be a miscellaneous. It would be a iconic piece of content. It would be a remaster. It would be an asynchronous piece of content.
Yeah.
But we're not going to remaster miscellanea every month.
Yes.
Because you can't do that.
And
we're not going to release a new ports expansion every month.
You're absolutely right. And I don't think, and we can design around it so that they don't have to be checked in all the time.
Yep.
There are ways of getting around that.
Or making it easy to check in.
Yeah. Or centralizing it. Yeah.
And then obviously the another one, in the big one, really is skilling, where we now announced that we are currently working on 2 skills, in particular to go to 120s. So I guess the question, very broadly speaking, is why now?
It's a very good question. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we love about RuneScape, as opposed to, say, old school, for example, is we grow. But there are new challenges. So how do we grow? So we could add in new skill after new skill, because to me, skills are how the avatar represents, it's how you are successful in the game. That is what I level. That's how I unlock things. That's the joy of the game. One pattern, so we talked about 2 different opportunities here. We could go for new skill after new skill after new skill. Keep going that route. The problem with that is that where that puts us in 10, 15 years' time, like, what is the game? So there's so many different ways to achieve for a person who hasn't been here for a while, that kind of thing. We still think new skills are valuable, but actually, if you can extend and expand and enrich, so we're also talking about remasters as well. I think people are focused on the 120s rather than the remastering and reworking skills, which is also going to be there. If we can enhance the core skills that we know people love, I think that's a real positive. I think we should grow. I think we should, and I think skills is where we should grow.
Yep.
But doing it in the skills that people know and value, I think that's also the right direction to be putting in the mix with reworks and new skills.
So in essence, I think we talked about this last week, but when it comes to remastering a skill, let's say, for example, construction, which is on the annual survey, does that in essence have to go to a 120?
No. So there are different ways of doing it. Like, I think construction works, personally. I know a lot of people didn't. But what it needs most, priority 1, is it needs a rework. For me, that's priority 1. If we have enough time and resource, then I would love to add in new training methods, new unlocks beyond 99, and actually put in a 120 in there as well, because hopefully it's now an absolute joy to do. And then because of what we were talking about, how we're going to be balancing or looking how to balance the game, you're also accelerating through as well, a little bit more than before. And so 120s become more viable as well. So for me, priority 1 is a rework of construction. Obviously it's skill by skill. Yep. And then it is the 120.
Yeah, in the survey, it looked like they were completely tied together. That's not true.
We've polled construction rework before.
Yeah, but if we are going to put all the effort into reworking construction, it makes sense to add a 120 to it as well.
Yeah, I know. I know a lot of people have pointed at Treasure Hunter and things like that. The reason for me to do this is that when we did things like mining and smithing, when we did things like Big Game Hunter, stuff like that, even bank rework to an extent, people pop in to see it. They might play it for a bit. But if you have that motivation of unlocks, lots of things to get off the back of this piece of content, it actually keeps people playing. It gives you, it's more reason to play RuneScape, and that's got to be a good thing. Mining and smithing was fantastic, but for 2 years of development, some people have already got 99s. Some people have already got all the items they wanted from it, and they bounced off it. And I think that's a shame. I'd love to give up people other reasons because of the unlocks, because of the skill itself, to stick around and try to get other things within that skill.
I think it's hard to say, but in retrospect, do you think the rework should have taken it to 120?
There is an argument, and I think
we discussed it a lot.
I can imagine it.
We actually, and also we talked about Hunter to 120 a lot with Land Out of Time. But with both of those cases, we felt like we didn't have the time or resource because Mining Smith thing had already been on for 2 years. Because we only had a certain amount of time to make land out of time, we felt like we couldn't hit the beats of things that we want to do with the 120, which we are going to do with any ones we do in the future, which is, to be honest, unlocks at every level, new ways of training, like
Worthwhile unlocks.
massively
Key milestones.
Exactly, and also a form of grace period, and or embargo, whatever you want to call it, on the achievement, so people can still feel they can own their max capes, comp capes, that kind of thing. There was a thread up recently that was kind of effectively matching this, which was really nice. So we don't necessarily just want to throw out 120s like that as well. We want to make sure we do them right, and there's good reason for that. And I know people have been talking about Slayer and Dungeoneering as well, like, why don't you fill those out? Why don't you do more with that? And I'm hoping people have seen that Slayer is getting that not an injection of not like Invention 2, where we brought out a load of stuff, is getting some stuff added reasonably frequently.
And there's an argument that Dungeoneering 120 is already full. Like,
yeah.
It has the floors, it has the resource dungeons, we've added things like Edemus.
I think people point to
Abyssal dungeons.
People point to
Abyssal
elites,
dungeon.
the elite dungeons, in terms of diminishing Dungeoneering 99 to 120.
Yeah,
So I think that's what people are largely talking about, which is understandable. I always thought of it as another track or another way to train, but I think some people have seen it as a removing of that.
Cool. And then the the third problem you guys talked about in that video, of course, was the war with dead content, which in essence, the summary of it is you do this content and then the rewards aren't worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
In essence.
Pulling back the curtain, I mean, I'm sure people aren't too surprised by this and have felt this. Like, we do survey work on every update we do. We've done that for the past about 18 months, I'd say. And every single update, even those that we now have deemed to be too rewarding, things like Player Owned Farm, came out with the feedback from that survey of it's not rewarding enough. It just doesn't give me a reason to train. Why should I bother? This is dead content. Those phrases keep on coming up over and over again. And there's a really good reason for that. And go on, Timbo, sorry, I talk too much.
No, keep going.
And one of the reasons is how we reward players, which is we do not look to outmode any of our previous rewards.
Yeah, I think, speaking as Game Hunter, we try to make sure every single bit of content and every reward is still relevant. And we've been trying to keep the last 19 years worth of RuneScape rewards relevant in some way. So when we've balanced content in the past, we've given very small upgrades that don't feel significant to players, but are statistically or numerically important. So like a 2% increase or 1% increase, but that's not big enough for the effort to put in. Like, I think one of the biggest things that players keep banging on to me about is like tier 90 boots. Tier 90 boots are too hard, too expensive, degrade too fast, aren't worthwhile. I'm sure Shawnee would agree with me as well.
I would have until Elite Dungeons came out.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, Elite Dungeons kind of swayed that. Like, I never went near it.
That's one of the things we added to try and alleviate that problem. But when they got released, there was tier 85 boots and there's tier 90 boots, but they degraded back to tier 85. It was worth it technically, but it wasn't worth the cost. So it wasn't dead content, but it was like just a zombie content where people
value for them in essence. Yeah.
So I think with this problem. No, I might say it in the video, but I'm going to say it now anyway, is that we won't be releasing any more dead content ever again.
What have you just said?
Okay.
That's a rod to beat us with.
So let me...
I think I said it in the video, I can't remember. But like, the aim would be that any content they release would be clearly better than any previous content.
Okay, so
that's the open aim. Yeah.
And we would be not safeguarding older content as much as we have done in the past.
But on the flip, it's also not the Wild West of suddenly everything is accelerating.
Yeah, we're not going to release tier 99 weapons all of a sudden. It's going to be thought out and measured. But yeah.
So that definitely, first of all, obviously, very open statement in that sense.
It's bold, and you have hold us to it.
And that's fair enough. So for definition, when I ask you the question of what is considered dead content?
The sawmill training in Varrock.
Okay.
Very typical.
Completely dead content. But the definition of dead content, or what is dead content, like out there in a game? Because the definition of dead content is content that players don't use or don't value or don't think is worthwhile when they're training skills, doing combat, or making money, or...
But we're specifically talking about updates.
Yes.
Launching as dead on launch.
Okay.
Dead on arrival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, if we released a brand new hunt method right now, it would be better than whatever it is around it at its level, and clearly different. Not 2% better, not 5% better, not maybe it gives more. It would be demonstrably better than what is currently.
And that is the emphasis for future stuff coming.
That's
up.
future content, yes.
Yeah.
And when did that come into play? Just out of
So
curiosity.
this is something that is worth making clear, because I think the mixed messages from us must be crazy right now. For
Yeah.
a player.
It's a little bit, yeah.
It must be. So the decision to go this way and all of this came in probably about 2 months ago, I would say. So this pivot maybe slightly less than that. So first of all, this was a movement away. What it is we are looking to manage our XP curves properly, and we're managing how we're accelerating at each of those points. First of all, like player and farm changes, which is something we probably should talk about. Player and farm changes is even beyond that progressive balancing or whatever we want to call it that we're putting out there. Even as current, it's way beyond that.
Yeah.
If we wanted to go above that, we'd have to be stepping ludicrously higher. So we're still not going to be afraid to take things down if it is not fitting our plans. But I think that we are going to be more generous than we have been over the past 6 months, I think.
Okay, cool.
So apologies that has come across as mixed messages. We'll get.
But the emphasis of it is, and the summary is, in essence, new content coming in will be essentially shifted in that sense where it will be pretty good.
It'll be valuable to be done within
valuable
its own
to, sorry.
bracket.
Right.
And do remember this dovetails with remasters. A lot of this will be the stuff that's already in game, just remastered. It's not going to be new stuff. New stuff comes in.
So
it keeps
if
on
we-
outmoding everything.
If we look at like a mid-level boss,
Yeah.
if we remastered, let's say KPD, and then KPD becomes the top loot for that mid-level.
In 5
Is
years'
that an
time,
example?
we might remaster QBD, and QBD then suddenly sits on
okay.
top of that.
Okay, just to clear it up. Okay, cool. Okay, I realised that took a lot of discussion, but I feel like
We didn't plan that.
I feel like it needed to.
Was that
though.
35 minutes?
20 minutes.
Okay.
And I feel I need to bring Ashes in. He's kind of been sitting on to your left, Dave.
Right,
and
it's been
he
nice
just hasn't been able
to hear.
say anything. Apologies, Ash.
Just
So
listen to Dave reiterate what he's already put on the diaries. So it's
More
good.
rambling.
So coming up to you for, in essence, what we talked about on the teams now in core experience and
Yes.
mobile in
Yep.
what you do. We had you on stream 2 weeks ago with Stu, where
yeah,
we
that's
went
right.
through
The
summary.
first time user experience.
In essence, how's that all gone?
From the data that we've seen, sort of in the back end, it's gone really well. A lot of people have tried it, and it seems to be coming along really nicely. I think there's still a few areas where we can kind of make some changes, obviously. But it's actually, it appears to be retaining a lot more people than just kind of dropping them off and letting them go. So that's a lot positive. We're hoping we can kind of stretch it a bit further. Obviously, we've stopped with just Berthorpe, but I know and Taverley. Sorry, it's because they're now
They
split,
merged into
aren't they?
one.
Yeah, it's the one, that little landmass section. But the original aim was to go into Lumbridge as well, sort of redo some of the bits around Lumbridge, and further that on and slowly sort of release the player into their exploratory kind of gameplay, rather than being very sort of hand-holdy and stuff as it is in the very beginning.
So the summary of that then is, because you guys are happy how it's gone, you guys can now crack on
Correct.
with more thins
Yes,
in that sense.
this is true.
I believe you have imagery of some sort to show us as well.
I would like to hope so. If John, we'll give you the big thumbs up
I'll
if you're
leave this all
ready.
to you, Anne.
Ah, here we go. Right, so I'm going to talk about mobile. So last week we dropped a big UI overhaul for mobile, and this is the imagery that you will see when you first load in.
One excellent inventory item, the Book of Piracy. Superb.
This is my test account? I think it's like Mod Shogun's personal account that I've kind of lapped onto this.
Why does he have the Book of
I
Piracy?
I needed like a slightly more high level account, just to test a few bits and pieces on. So annoying. I don't have any before shots, but this is kind of the new layout and the style that we're kind of going for on mobile. We're trying to keep it really clean.
So, sorry, I want to jump in. So when you
Yeah,
say
go
obviously
for it.
clean, but obviously
Yes.
you have all the interfaces up at the moment, just to clarify.
They are all up at the
Right.
moment, yeah. So this is kind of what you'll see if you first load up.
Okay.
There are ways of getting rid of some bits and pieces, and there is a bit more to show. But this is the initial kind of load up of mobile. This is what you'll see.
You can hide the chat, for example.
Yeah,
You can
chat
hide
can be
the
hidden.
side
Yeah,
interfaces.
I've got a few pictures. John, if you want to go to the next one. Sure. So the next image is this is our combat layout. So essentially all it is you press the sword icon down the left. These ability bars kind of pop up. And then you've kind of got quick fire action
Right in your
ability
thumb
bars
area.
right in your thumb area to tap on those nicely. And then down the bottom underneath the globes and the bars is essentially your revolution bar.
So it takes a revolution bar and then a manual
and then a manual action bar on top, yeah. So the revolution bar will just tick along as it does normally as you have revolution on, which is your main bar as you would on desktop. And then you can kind of just cue in the bits on your thumbs and the abilities above to sort of cue those in and get those to fire off as and when.
So I saw, just from feedback, obviously on the UI itself, the one thing obviously is quite different is, of course, the globes, as we call them,
Yes.
at the bottom.
Yep.
So one thing I did see is we label in values your prayer and summoning points, but
Yeah.
the bars don't have a number. Is that going to
No,
change?
that is going to change.
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
I've done that change. That change was done, I think I'm doing it yesterday. My days have all merged into kind of like one like weekly day thing. So I don't know what I'm working on half the time. But yeah, those are changing. That was actually brought up before we went live, but we never had an opportunity to fix it up until sort of now. And players have given feedback to say we work in numbers, we don't work in bars. So those numbers will be coming back. Don't worry about that one. So yeah, that's kind of the combat layer. But you'll see on the right hand side, obviously, I've hidden all of the child windows and stuff that you'll see. So the backpack's now hidden and stuff.
Is the find more button related to paths? Or is
Yes.
that? Okay, cool.
So that's the activity tracker.
Cool.
So I don't have anything actually as a recommendation or a path actually for active. So it's saying, would you like to find something else for you to track? So John, if you want to just move on to the next one, let's see what the next image is. This one's very quick. So this one is this is how you change your action bars. So if you look to the left where the number 6 is on the top in the small one, if you tap that, it brings up this, and this is the number of action bars that you can now switch between. You will notice now 13. As of the Monday, we gave everyone 2 extra action bars, 3 extra bars. I can't remember how many they were added.
3, I can't do it.
Three
Yeah.
free ones.
Yes, that. I can't.
Three
Can't say it.
for free. So that was for everyone, which was a sort of added extra bonus. You can thank ModPie for doing that one. He wrote all of that back in.
Someone,
Give you all of that.
Someone said, can you hide the activity tracker?
Yes. So the pin with the flag kind of thing to the left
highlighted, right?
under
You
the
can see
envelope,
it,
it means you can hide the activity tracker.
Cool.
If you want to flick to the next one, John, please. Thank you. So this is essentially like all of the windows open, but it's showing my worn in this instance. Now, this is a brand new layout that we want to go with worn. Players currently have an inventory style. So this is taken off of me working on stuff today. So this is what is coming soon.
So that's going to be the new worn interface?
Yes, this is how the new worn interface will look.
Okay.
At the moment, with people that have their hands on mobile, it is just an inventory style, columns and rows. But we want to get this look back up for players on mobile so they can have everything and see everything.
I just noticed the glove stock just look like you're holding your hands up. Sorry.
So yeah, so that's that lookout. If you go on to the next one. So the next one, this is the, what are we on? Spells book.
Yeah.
So this shows, so we've changed everything now. Obviously on desktop, you can pull out all of your different spell books. We've actually converted it into an accordion for mobile.
Basic talk, accordion is?
Basically, an accordion is the ability to collapse and expand a big group of sort of sections. So for instance, in this, I've got combat abilities and combat spells and teleport spells collapsed, so you can't see them, but I do have the skilling ones.
So no longer do I have everything into one.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So obviously on desktop, you've got, if you pulled out your spell book, you would have the 3 mini tabs on it that would sort of show the iconography and stuff of what you want to tap between. We've turned this into obviously the accordion, as it's known, because it obviously expands and collapses like an accordion does. So that should be easier to find. There's also a filter button on the bottom as well, which should hide out anything that you don't have the level for. So we're on to the next one, please, John. So this is the new prayer look. Obviously this changes a lot from desktop. So desktop is still the same.
Just with the filter.
With the filter on at the bottom, yeah. So this is a slight rework to all of that. It shows the book you're on, how many points you're on, obviously quick prayers, and your filter's still on there as well on the bottom. Next one, John, please. Where are we? So this is now the ability book.
Oh, that's much better on mobile.
So this holds everything rather than you having strength and attack together, ranged on its own, magic on its own, and constitution and defense all rolled in.
I remember prior to this update, you had to have each button on the ribbon.
They were, yeah.
To then get to them. So now one button to now get to everything in one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, the ribbon is essentially the right-hand side where all the iconography is, just under the big H button on that right. That's what we're known as the ribbon. Because it looks different on desktop, because it all has buttons, proper buttons with coloured backgrounds and things and bits and pieces. So because the icons have completely changed and shifted colour and stuff, it might throw some people off for when we talk about that. So yeah, this was the combination of all of your abilities thrown together, so that you can see them all in one place.
Was there ever a consideration of, instead of using text boxes, maybe images and icons?
There wasn't, but I don't see why not.
Okay.
We could probably put all those back in to make it easier to see. Obviously, it will keep the same then if you swap between desktop and mobile to, so you know what you're looking at rather than just a name.
I know a lot of feedback was coming in about like they would love to hide certain prayers or hide certain abilities that they just don't use. So to compact it a bit more, is that anything that, is that feasible or?
Not really, because how do you determine things you don't use anymore?
Well, it has to be opt-in.
Like,
you have to toggle it.
Like a little menu you can click in and it puts it back on your book or something?
I guess you'd have to do like, I don't want to see anything below this level kind of thing. You couldn't really do it like individually.
That wouldn't really work either.
No, you want to pick and choose.
Yeah.
I mean, it could work for prayer for most people, to be fair. Apart from some people who want to use Leech Prayers at Solak with the Amulet of Zealots. Anyway, yeah, just some examples.
There you go. Get on it, Sean.
It's some thought, but obviously that's cross-platform. We'd have to look in that a big style a bit.
Someone said, is there any fix of court summons when you're in an instance and the clip boxes are all funky? Yes, that is a known issue right now, but we want to sort. So you can actually carry on doing your court cases. That would be ideal.
I saw that as a GIF. That was quite funny. Someone put that around in one of our rooms.
Funny to watch, but
it was just like
frustrating
click,
to watch.
wait, what? No, then it clicks like over here. I'm trying to click here, but yeah.
One question.
Yeah.
The backpack. There used to be 4 options underneath with your 4 buttons.
Yes.
They're not there anymore. Why was
that? So with them being there, it meant that you had like a scroll bar essentially for the inventory. We kind of wanted to keep away from being like scrolling on the inventory because it was quite easy to kind of accidentally swipe when you meant to click. So if we can get rid of the scroll bar on it, it meant that you could actually tap on things properly and they would react as you were tapping on them, rather than you accidentally tapping and maybe doing a little swipe and it kind of then scrolling and you're like, oh no, I wanted to eat my shark or drink my potion. You're sliding on a scroll bar and it's suddenly now showing all the 4 options on the bottom. But saying that, there has been a lot of feedback from players and that's saying that they liked it there. So I think we're going to take another look at it. Don't hold me to it. It might not come to fruition, but we are going to have another look at it to see if there is anything that we can do to sort of bring something back up to the top level.
Awesome.
So if you keep going, John, where were we? So we've seen that one. Next one, please.
That's right.
That's all right.
They look very similar.
Oh, that's when it's clicked up.
I have. Yes, they are very similar because I've hidden the compass. I've hidden the minimap at the top.
Okay.
That's why they look very similar. So yeah, you'll notice as John goes back and forth that the minimap hides.
How do they do that on mobile?
So that is the big circular button to the right.
I like how Jilly Willikers appears.
Oh yeah, and
Those two
Oh, that's
photos.
really creepy.
yeah. So if you go to the before image, he's not there, and then after.
Oh, with it chapter 2
You
out
can
this
see
week.
Very apt.
Yeah, and PT stuff. Yeah. all right.
totally accidental of that
Superb.
imagery taking, but there we go.
Oh,
So yeah, where the big H is, and those sort of three icons at the top. The H is your home teleport now. The one in the middle will toggle your mini map, so it will slide in and out. And the top one is your world map. And if you actually hide the child windows, the compass that is stuck to the left at the top will actually shift its way over to the right as well. So all of those. But yeah, so yeah, that was just showing that you can hide the minimap. So if you go to the next one, please, John. So this is a brand new layout for what people know as the escape
This is
menu.
the biggest change for
Yeah.
me. Like it's insane.
So this, people will know, obviously, when you push escape or whatnot, you get the small little menu that gives you all of the options of where you might want to go, if you want to log out, hop worlds, all that sort of stuff. For mobile, that didn't work. It's a very small interface. So we took a big reimagining of what is now this, basically, which is now known as the main menu. To externals and stuff, we still call it the escape menu internally. That's
I mean,
kind of
it
what it
still
is,
right?
It is.
It's still the escape.
But you access it from, if you just go back a slide, please, John, back an image. So the top left, there's a great big home button. If you push that now, that brings up the menu.
Oh, just like that.
Just like that. Like I clicked it and everything, yeah.
So the buttons to our left, so I presume social's one of them based on the people icon there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what they are now. You've
Yeah,
thrown
there's
me off completely.
customizations, but
I think it's Treasure Hunter, Wardrobe. I think it's then Store.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it must be Social.
Yeah,
stuff
those
at
are
the
those few people pointing out that the two of those went to the same location. So
bottom. That is possibly true.
I don't know if that's something we look out or not.
We can certainly look at it and make any changes as it was. But so this was a big reimagining. Like I said, it's a big reimagining from our UI guys of like, well, hang on, the current one for desktop just doesn't work for what we need. It needs to be essentially a hub to allow you to access everything quite quickly. And this was what they've come up with.
It's a good question there. I've just seen. How do you feel about a new mobile player learning each of the new icons, but then having to relearn them when they log in onto the desktop?
Yes. Problematic, I do agree. However, we are looking at a wider kind of color scheme, and we're kind of using mobile as a starting point.
Unify.
Yeah,
then.
unify
Okay.
all of it all up. Yeah, so I don't know if people have brought it up, but before, even in some of the chats I've seen, is the ribbon icons, they don't work very well over kind of like the desert, for instance. It's kind of yellow on yellow. So our UI guys are going back to look and rechange those. And we're looking to pull a lot of the color schemes and the layouts of sort of some of the windows and stuff to desktop so that everything is essentially you can just jump back and forth between and you shouldn't have any problems. But obviously mobile is our kind of starting point, really, just to get a gauge of A, does it look right? B, does it feel right? C, are the players happy with it?
Cool.
So yeah.
Oh man, I'll be honest. These sections have gone on way longer, but that's completely
They
fine
are.
by me.
I think this is my last imagery, right, John? I got one more after this. God, I can't remember how many I've given you. 4 more?
Oh, good lord.
Oh, really? What else? Are you sure?
This one included.
Some family
Okay.
snaps at the end.
Probably.
Holiday picture.
Yeah, so this was obviously me just clicking the adventures
And that's the,
tab.
I mean, you can see the new UI there, right? The top,
Yeah.
the top title bar, I guess.
Yeah,
where
title
it's
bar,
completely
yeah.
different. As
And
well.
the tabs have had a change in colour. All the colour schemes is very, very similar. There's a few things that still need to be worked out. But this was just kind of so this is still using our old sort of parent layout. It's just kind of zoomed in to be full screen. But it kind of shows just kind of sort of the broad different things that we were going on for. So what's the next one then, John?
The stream thinks I'm rubbing your
Yeah,
leg with my foot.
yeah, apparently. I'm not sure how that's possible.
I'm surprised people notice.
I guess that's the expanded chat.
That is expanded chat, yeah. So the top left now is essentially a maximized chat that allows you to talk and see a lot more of your chat. Imagine as you clicked on it, a keyboard would pop up halfway up the screen to sort of allow you to sort of chat and stuff in. But that's kind of what that looks like. And then finally...
Jesus, John. Good Lord. Really? Dave?
No, it moved. Too slow. Too slow with the fondage.
What, Dave?
Well, I like that you're messaging your wife and I'm rubbing your leg at the same time.
She's probably watching.
Oh, of course she is.
Also, HR is just around the corner.
Wow.
Next one, John. So yeah, there's not much to talk about that one. So this is the powers interface. Nothing much again has changed. It was more just to show the kind of color schemes and the fact that now there's a lot less tabs along the top because we've obviously combined with the accordions. So you'd get each accordions per tab and you'd still be able to do what you needed to do. Sort of on the right hand side, drop it all into your relevant ability bars and stuff.
Why was Quick Chat ever disabled on mobile?
It never worked properly.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough.
So Quick Chat essentially is kind of you tap it for each kind of one you want. Obviously, it's keyboard and quite number heavy. We never got it to truly work when it came into mobile, so it has been disabled for now. I believe in the future we are looking to redo some of the chat as part of our core experience stuff because it is quite a core part of RuneScape as well. So.
Yep.
We're hoping that we can roll quick responses back into it when that comes around because it's a nice feature to have for mobile because essentially just tap send rather than having to actually type out a message on a mobile, which obviously with it being on landscape you get a full-blown keyboard on your screen, which is quite hard to sort of sometimes type with.
Is it going to be possible to drag items from the inventory to the action bar on mobile?
Do we do that already?
I presume not, considering the question is we can't. Oh, so we can.
I think we can. Yes, we can. Because you can lock the action
But how do you
bars.
unlock the action bar on mobile?
So if you, John, back to imagery. Come prepared. I remember this image put
So I
on.
assume the confusion. I assume the question
Here we
is
go.
asked because the person had the image, the bar locked, and
Yes.
you can change it when it's
Yeah. So we've brought in a new mini menu. This is now driven by us in content rather than engine. So we have full control over size, colouring, and all that sort of stuff. So all I've done here is I've essentially pressed and held on the cog icon under the sword, and it's bringing up sort of a load of options, which allows one of them. And toggle action bar lock is one of the options there. So it was a nice little flow you've done there, Shawnee, without even realising this image was here, which should allow you to bring that up. And I think you can drag and drop from like on the actual desktop and stuff.
like I've been hosting streams for almost 4 years now.
I know.
Gilly was getting closer.
How was it?
Yeah,
Keeping
that
an eye
freaked me
on
out.
him.
Like I was expecting the next shot to just be Gilly's face, like full screen. It was.
If I'd have known, I would have done that as my very last imagery.
There is a
There
one-click gameplay toggle option already in your game settings. To answer that question, there you can toggle on one-click gameplay, which allows you just to click the NPC and then you can have the options and go from
I
there.
don't think that works on mobile just yet.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Apologies.
But I know it was trying to be implemented, but I think it broke a few bits, so we kind of took it out for now. But yeah, that should be coming back as well, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Cool. Any more imagery?
No, I think that's the last one, right, John?
Yeah, it's last one.
Trying to remember how many I've actually sent. I sent you like 13 images.
It's 13,
Yeah.
Yes. Very nice.
So that's mobile. That's what I've been working on for the past 2 years.
Mobile.
mobile.
Ta-da!
And I mean, it goes without saying that I presume will be mobile news at RuneFest. Is that a yes? It's
Yes.
RuneFest, right? So
Yes, there
Okay.
will be.
There's a lot of news at RuneFest.
yes, but I want to make sure
News will
that
be happening.
mobile is there as well.
Yeah.
Hells to the yes.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to split the script up a little bit because obviously we've gone talking about this stuff, which is awesome. So a couple of notes, as we talked about last week with Mod Raven and myself and Mod Osborne about Playrun Farm stuff. The Playrun Farm changes that we talked about will be coming out this Monday upcoming. There will be a dev blog tomorrow, which will go live summarizing everything we talked about last week. But you have essentially until Monday to do all your Playrun Farm stuff before all of those changes go in. So just a heads up for you there. But as I mentioned, there will be a news post which will essentially summarize everything for you tomorrow with that one. And then of course, we kind of have to touch on it. It's gonna, which is weapon diversity, right?
Do we have to?
We have to. We absolutely have to.
We already put a news post out today.
We did.
Does that mean that we can just run away?
I mean, it goes without saying. I think, if you're not aware, by the way, RuneScape.com, there's a news post on an update on the Weapon Diversity project. In essence, Weapon Diversity is...
In its current design, cancelled.
Okay.
So a large proportion of the reasoning for this is that what we had beta tested and put out so far had been not as dramatic as I think a lot of players had hoped. There wasn't utility benefits to each of the individual weapons. I think people looked at like halberds and how it attacks 2 squares away, were hoping or imagining something akin to that for all weapons. What we delivered was largely DPS modifications, and that meant that actually when you kind of circled back round to the aims of the project to have diversity against all skills, most people would probably just optimise to the weapon that gave the most DPS in their situation. So actually the original aim of diversity was kind of compromised a little bit.
I do want to mention, like, for those of you who are watching the stream and have not read the post, please go and read the post because it goes into so much information on the project itself, the roadblocks you guys ran into with that. And I feel like, for me personally, it's pretty awesome to get an in-depth look as to that stuff.
I mean,
I think that's come across well for people who've already read it as well.
I've got mixed feelings because on one hand, I'm glad that we're bold to make this kind of decision. Like, I think it's the right decision. I like that we're being more, this is the kind of transparency I would hope or expect from us. In terms of communicating to the players, so I would like this for more things.
It's if I could be so bold, like the sort of right decision we should be making on updates like this as well. Like a lot of the feedback. I mean, as the designer of weapon diversity, I feel a little bit sore about it, but it was something we had discussed and decided upon.
That's my mixed emotion.
But it's the right decision, and I'm glad we made it, and I'm glad we are bold enough to go out to players and be like, look, this wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
We have beta tested it. You guys have seen it. You've given us a feedback. We decided it's not good enough, and we decided not to make it, and instead we're going to go out there and do it differently going forward.
That's right. I think the reason I say mixed emotion is because there is still a part of me that I don't want to be patting ourselves on the back for this, because there is also the aims were incorrect and a lot of the design wasn't right for the project, and we should have caught that earlier.
Yeah, and ultimately that's an update that you guys aren't getting.
Yeah. Exactly, and there is wasted work there, undeniably.
But the thing we can say is that at the end of the day, instead of just going, it's cancelled, that's it, we've essentially taken the time to literally elaborate as to the methods we've taken in the project itself, and then as to why we've come to make that decision.
Yeah, yeah. Which
is, I guess, in a way, kind of how it was done internally as well from that meeting. So, yeah. I mean, it's nice to, I guess, say that in that regard.
Yeah. One thing I want to make clear that I think has been a bit of a misconception on a couple of the replies is we aren't willy-nilly putting out updates, making updates almost finalised, put them out in a beta and then cancelling them.
Yeah.
We do a lot of preparatory work that you don't see. We actually do a lot of player test work, survey work, internal play testing as well. Like, there are updates that that is designed to make us fail earlier. And obviously you don't see that. So please don't think that we're throwing updates out there and allowing wasted work with every update we produce, is where I'm getting to.
Cool. All right, I'm going to get the quiz ongoing very shortly. Timbo, I saw a question, and I'm going to defer to you on this one. Do we ever see the modifier numbers being released for the combat skill pets?
Sure.
Oh, there we go.
We did it for skilling pets, so.
All right, I'll speak to you tomorrow about that then.
You can get all the information.
Deal. All right,
Let's do it.
let's get it sorted tomorrow then, shall we, guys? Or try to get it sorted tomorrow. How about that? That was nice.
Localization, I'm going to love you.
No, this is just, it would just be updating the wiki calculators.
Oh, yeah?
That's what we do.
Yeah, of course.
That's the best way to do it, in my opinion.
All right.